What's up, people? My name is Jordan Farmer. This is the Uncommon Ground YouTube channel where we are indoctrinating the masses, and today I'm going to be breaking down the whole situation with the GameStop stock and Robinhood and Reddit and explaining what happened. First off, in order to understand going into this what happened, you should understand what shorting a stock is. Unfortunately, the explanations out there are not necessarily all that good, and they don't really get to the meat of it very quickly, so I'm going to do my best here. Essentially, what shorting a stock is, it is in the short term borrowing a stock to sell it at a certain point and then returning a stock back to that person at a later point. During normal investing, you have long-term investors where you're going to own a stock, for the next couple of years, and you're just going to leave it there. What someone who's shorting a stock will do is they'll say, I'm going to borrow it from you at $10. What they're trying to do is, I'm going to borrow it from you at $10, and I owe you that one stock, and then I sell it to someone on your behalf, which is kind of a weird concept that you could sell something you don't own. Elon Musk criticizes this. A lot of people criticize this. It's essentially legalized gambling and selling something. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to pay back what. At the end of the day, you have to clear the transaction. So people end up. It's gambling, but you can win and you can lose, and you ultimately have to pay back that money. So it's not necessarily the end of the world, but say you borrow at $10 and you sell it on behalf of that person. You now have $10. Then you're going to wait until it goes down. Say the stock goes down to $5. Then you buy the stock at $5. You give it back to that person. You have now made $5 from that transaction because you sold it at a high point and you bought it at a low point. So it's the inversion of buy low, sell high. It's selling high and then buying low, but avoiding the risk in the front end. And so it's kind of cheating the system because it's actually a lot easier to predict when a stock will go down than when a stock will go up. Because you can't really predict whether or not earnings are going to go up or down. But in certain periods of time, if the news around a certain business is bad, or certain news breaks out about a business, or other market forces are sort of at play that will lead to that sort of whole industry hurting, or an economic crash is coming. If you do anything like that, and it's easier to pinpoint those points, or if a stock like goes up to, way above where it should be, and you're trying to time the drop back down, you can sometimes do that a little bit more easily than picking. Like, it's easier to see the peak and then to catch it on the downswing than it is to buy it at the bottom of a downswing and then try to sell at the peak, because you don't really know when the peak happens. So it's cheating the system in a certain sense, but it's essentially just borrowing a stock to return a stock later. And if you time it right so that you sell at that initial point, you sell at that initial point at a high point, and then at say $10, then you have the $10, and then you buy it at $5 and you return that person's stock. You've made $5 in the transaction. They still have their stock. But if it goes the other direction and that stock goes up to $15 instead of $10, if that stock goes up to $15 instead of $10, then in order to return that stock to that original owner, they have to then buy that stock for $15, which means they're spending 50% more than they sold it for in the first place. So it's buying low and selling high in a certain degree, because you have to return the stock. You're going to have to buy back in at a certain point. And